Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another For Honor video. I know it's been about a month. I swear I'm not trying to make these monthly. I would do it sooner. I'm just really bad with timetables. But yes, this has been a good reason to come back. There has been a lot going on in For Honor at the moment. Mainly the introduction of the new faction, the Wulin. Well, they're not introduced yet, but they were in the test, which is what I've been playing non-stop for the past few days. This probably ended 2 days ago by the time this comes out. But yeah, absolutely had a blast with it. Played all the characters, stuck with 2 of them because I absolutely love them more than anything else, and that's what... I've got so much footage of this shit, everything from the test, that I can just make loads of videos on it. I was trying to stream, but again, shit internet, can't do that stuff. So yeah, just stuck with getting a bunch of footage for videos. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So, to start off, I thought I'd go over my favourite character of the entire test, Jiang Jun. He's absolutely amazing. He's the Beast of the East, Jiang Jun. Love him. General of the Wulin, or I don't know what all their backstories are, but his one stood out for me. He's just really badass, you know? Got him to Rep 1. Others never got there, but this guy I put a lot of effort into. You can see from the background video, well, footage, that, yeah, this is... He looks swaggy, and I hope that as it goes, as you unlock more stuff, he looks even swaggier. This is just a completely unscripted, no idea what I'm going to say video, just initial impressions of what I thought of everything. If it takes a while for me to get everything out about Jiang Jun, I'll probably just make a separate video about the footage you're seeing in the background, because this is like a 40-minute duel between Jiang Jun and Nobushi. I had loads of duels with friends just to... Well, it's the best way to understand a character, more or less. Understand their limitations and whatnot. And yes, while I do love... In fact, let's just talk about the faction as a whole, just before I get into everything. Wulin, definitely the only faction in the entire game where I like all of the characters. Like, you know, to me, if I think of the samurai, I think, screw Nobushi, fuck Shigoki, I don't give a shit about Aramusha, they can all go to hell. PK, meh, don't really mind, but not as fun. But the Wulin, I just want to grab them all into a big group hug, because they're just so good. They all seem really fun, and that's what I like. Again, some of them have a lot of limitations, but none of them are outright bad. Like, they've all got something. I don't know, a lot of people have been saying Nuksha's shit, she's absolute worst thing in the game. I beg to differ. I think she's probably second best in the entire Wulin faction, which puts her probably not in the tippy-top tier, but high. Like, either in the top tier or top of the mid tier. In fact, I'd say top tier. Not the very top, but in the top, because she's got the... Yeah, oh, fuck it. I'll explain that in the Nuksha video. For now, talking about Jiang Jun. Now, this guy is probably the 3rd best in the faction. I think Shaolin's probably the worst at the moment, but the devs are definitely going to, with the amount of backlash he's getting for some of his changes, the devs are definitely going to change him back, which to how he was in the previous test. And I think when that happens, he'll actually be better than Jiang Jun if Jiang Jun doesn't get buffed as well. But I think he probably will, because he's just god-awful at the moment. Well, not god-awful, but he's very limited. It's hard to explain, but basically, he's a character designed for 4v4, for team fights. And at that, he's pretty good. He's got some amazing tools for that sort of thing. Again, a lot of them can be considered quite lackluster, because his range and his hitboxes on all his moves are quite janky. They don't quite hit where you should expect a character that's designed to have all of his attacks basically be zones. Even his zone has very little range and hardly hits anything. Like, if you... So one of his moves is he parries someone, and he can do an unblockable zone, and that's supposed to hit everyone around him if he parries, like... Imagine he parries 4 people, and then he does the zone. You'd imagine that would hit all of them, more or less, right? Or at least 3 or 2 of them. No, most of the time, if you parry any more than 1 person, you're only going to hit 1 person with the zone attack. And I don't think that's really designed... Well, should be in a game for a character that's designed to team fight. The problem with a character designed to team fight is that does actually make him pretty shit in 1v1. He's very limited in the duel scene. He's got it's hard to explain. But, okay, give you an example of he's got definitely the best stamina game in the entire game. However, because all his moves do a shitload of damage. However, I don't think he'd need it if his moves didn't cost so much stamina. Like, he can feint, I think, 3 heavies before he's out of stamina, which is absolutely ridiculous. But to compensate for it, he's got the ability to go into Sifu stance. Now, Sifu stance is probably his most controversial thing of his kit, because Sifu stance regains your stamina really quickly, like insanely quickly. You're never out of stamina for very long. That's what it's designed for. However, that's all it's good for at the moment. The only thing you can do from it is zone attack, and of course that's super easy to read for most people. And yeah, which means it's incredibly limited, and in the capabilities of like dodging backwards and being like hidden stance, you can't use it for that. You can't use it as a hidden stance. It doesn't work like that, which I think is pretty ridiculous. I think you should be able to guard break out of it, and you should have a few more. Maybe not give it more iframes, make it, because it's very easy to hit him out of it with just long range lights, because it's basically a very short mini little backdash, which is rubbish, more or less. So you get a couple seconds of iframes for a backdash, but anything that would, go quite far backwards, it will very, very, very easily catch. I think it will probably get hit by Wardens or Conqueror's basic bashes. If you just bash once, I think if you Sifu stance backwards, you won't go far enough back to actually get out of the way of it, unlike most characters. And because it's so limited, it just makes you can only use it for getting stamina back. I never really use it to dodge out the way of anything, because it's just not worth it. And I don't think that's how it should be. I think it's his unique thing, the Sifu stance. He should be able to get more from it. So the main problems he has are, he hasn't got a great opener. His opener is very shit, because it's you dash forward, you heavy, and then you kick him in the shin. And that's his unblockable that leads into a single light. Doesn't chain into anything, just get a guaranteed light from it. And while it will catch people a few times, it's very slow, very easy to punish. If you dodge out the way and light attack, you'll beat most, in fact, all options. And yeah, I think the fact that you can only do it from a dodge forward heavy means it's super limited. I think a way to fix that problem that he has, in fact, I'll just go over all the problems first. So he's got very janky hitboxes. They don't hit what they should. His opening option, his, shin kick, very limited, pretty shitty. His Sifu stance, can't get much out of it. In fact, can't really get anything out of it. And yeah, the only thing it's good for is getting stamina back. Oh, and one more thing. His choke, it sounds weird, but his Begone Thought slap, choke and slap, is just one little thing. It's not major, but this one little thing bugs me. I think that if you drain someone's stamina entirely with, so you say you parry a heavy, right? So the Begone choke, Begone Thought choke is basically where you parry one of their moves and you go into an animation where you choke them and then you slap them in the face and they go away. If they're out of stamina when you choke them, then they fall to the ground, right? However, the reason why it's pretty useless is because if you parry them, and you parry them, they still have a little bit of stamina, you then choke them and that stamina goes. Because they had stamina when you started the choke, when you slap them, they don't fall over. However, if you parry them while they're out of stamina, or if you parry them when they're on their last bit of stamina and it causes them to go out of stamina then, I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but if you choke them while they're already out of stamina, then they will fall over. And that's just a little thing that bugs me. I think that should be changed so that if you choke them so they go out of stamina, you should get the guaranteed fall over. Now, to mention some of the good things about him. Well, he has got a lot of bad, limited in a lot of options. He has got some amazing tools at his disposal, which is why I think he should be buffed a little bit. Have a few changes, not loads. Like, the stuff he's very good at is he's got insane damage, and he's got a very good out of stamina punish. So his heavies, they all hit like a truck. The first one in a chain always has hyper armor, and yeah, they're just really meaty, powerful. Although you can't get any of them off a grab, you can only get them off a wall splat, and even then they have to travel quite far and hit into the wall if it's going to work. The things he's got, he's got really good lights. They're massively delayable. You can delay them super easily, and they're really confusing, and they do a lot of damage, like 18 damage a light, which is nothing to scoff at. It's real good. His zone, super fast, 500 milliseconds, and it does 28 damage. That's like the fastest, strongest heavy in the game, more or less, and it's his zone. He can also zone from the opposite side, so when he zones normally in neutral, the zone will come from your right. However, if you're in Sifu stance, he'll spin around and it'll hit them from your left. He's also got the option where if he parries you, he then throws out an unblockable zone, which I think is designed to hit multiple people, but never does because the range on it is shit for some reason. Same with his zone is just got terrible range. There is, there's something that really confuses me about it as well. Every zone he has, so he has 3 different types of zone. Every zone he has different damage. It's all the same zone attack, but they do different damage, which is really confusing. So his base one does 28 damage, chunky. His one from Sifu stance, which comes from the left, that's 25 damage. I have no idea why that's any less damage. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And for some stupid reason, his parry zone, so when you parry a heavy or a light and then go into a zone attack, it does 20 damage. It does 20 damage instead of the 28 damage which you get from a normal zone. In fact, it's beneficial to parry a heavy, wait a second, and then zone. So you don't get the unblockable zone, you get the regular zone, so you get the 28 damage. That's just a little thing I picked up for him. But I don't think he should have to do that, because it's very, incredibly hard to hit the zone after a parry, if you time it right. He just shouldn't have to do that to get the damage should be the same for all of his zone attacks, bottom line. Going on from that, his out stamina punish, his max punish, crazy damage. So his top heavy does 37 damage, and then his chain heavy, so all of his chain heavies, so his second heavy in a chain, is always going to be an unblockable finisher, which does a lot of damage. So his side ones do 40 damage, and his top one does 45 damage, which is, great. Chunky damage, unblockable, and the unblockable is very fast. So if you're in a gank situation, or you and a teammate are fighting multiple enemies, it's very easy to hit someone, switch to another target, and just fly across the screen with a super fast unblockable attack that does a lot of damage and kill them. Which I think, adds to the thing, he's a very good team fighter. However, it's alright in 1v1. I won't scoff at a super fast, super damaging, unblockable. Just, it's good. But the thing it's best for when you're in a 1v1 is when they're out of stamina, if you do a light or a heavy or anything into the top unblockable, if you feint that and then guard break them, you'll catch them most of the time, because people are afraid of the speediness and damage that these unblockables do. They will try and dodge out the way or parry it a lot of the time. And if you guard break them, you do a forward push, you throw them forward, and then you do one overhead heavy, and then the unblockable heavy. So that does 37 plus 45 damage, 70, 82 damage. So it does 82 damage for his max punish, which is amazing. That's huge, really. Considering Warden's max punish is, 70? 70 something? I like that. Even, which is surprising, because Jiang Jun's top heavy is only 37 damage, while Warden's is 40. Still don't get why it does less damage. Should definitely do, 40 damage for an overhead heavy. It sounds about right for a guy this size. And yeah, so those are the good things he has. Really confusing lights. Oh yeah, I also forgot his dodge side attacks. They're not very good for dodging anything. The only thing they get is a handy mix-up. So if you dodge to the side and then heavy, you will attack from that side. However, during that dodge and attack, if you press light at any time, you will immediately do a light from the opposite side of the heavy, which comes out lightning fast and then can go into a chain, which can fuck up a lot of people's game plan. Great fun, not very good to actually use to get out of the way of moves, but it's still it's there, it's handy. So all in all, he just needs a few basic changes to be a good character, a viable character, because at the moment it's like the thing of he has to be viable at the highest level to be worth playing. Some characters, well, it's just the characters that get played the most and are usually the most fun are the ones that are viable at top level, or they can beat the people, the top tiers, without too much trouble. They're not at the top themselves, but they can at least stand up to it. Like Nobushi, she's a good example. She can deal with a lot of the stuff that Warden and Conqueror and all that can throw out, and she's not at the tippy top of the tier list, but she's good, and she can deal with it, which is why she's got a lot of people maining her, and that's, I think that's a good place for a lot of characters to be, and I think with a few minor buffs, Jiang Jun could be there as well. I've got a few in mind. The main one is fix his hitbox. Hitboxes on all his moves, so give them a bit more range, make them hit more of what they're supposed to, because at the moment the range is very shit and they don't hit half of what they should, surprisingly, because it even says all of his attacks are supposed to be like zones, so you'd imagine they'd hit everything. Make his Sifu stance a bit better. The way I'd suggest doing this, you only need to change two things about it. One, make it so that it's GB immune, and the other would just be make it so he can do his shin kick from it. So that wouldn't be too powerful. I mean, if he could do his shin kick from neutral, that'd be great, but then, of course, it would be like a 500 millisecond unblockable that leads into a guaranteed light that can't be punished with a guard break or anything like that. So I think that would be a bit too good. However, being able to do it just from the Sifu stance, that would be good, because then you'd be able to punish a lot more stuff if you do manage to Sifu stance dodge a heavy attack or a light attack or something like that. You would be able to actually punish it with the kick. So you'd only get a light of it anyway, which I think is fair for that sort of thing. Otherwise, you just have to do the zone attack, which doesn't hit a lot of the time because while it is relatively fast, the animation of going into the Sifu stance takes a while, surprisingly, and of course you can get hit at any point during that. And then you go into the zone after that, which again, 500 milliseconds, but plus the animation for the Sifu stance makes it very easy to read, and very easy to get away from as well. The other thing I'd say is make all of his zone attacks do the same damage. Make them all do 28 or 25. Just don't change it up. They're all the same attack. Make them have the same damage. That simple. And the one other minor little thing is make his choke begone thought slap actually knock people down if it takes them out of stamina. So if they have green stamina, you start choking them, they go out of stamina, then they should fall over, instead of still being absolutely fine. And yeah, I think those little changes would actually be enough to make him viable, first of all, in duel, and second of all, for high level. I think those things would be good. Now, yeah, I think that's all I really have to say on Jiang Jun, apart from other basic stuff like he's a fucking blast to play. The main thing I've got to mention that I feel so bad not for mentioning already is he is the most fun character I've played since, original Conqueror. I have not had this much fun with a character since the start of the game when I first picked up Conqueror, and was absolutely loving that. It's I don't know, it just felt so fun playing him for the first time, doing ridiculous spins all around the place, and beating the shit out of people, and begone thought slapping someone to death for the first time. That is a good feeling. That is a really good feeling. So yeah, these would be my basic thoughts on Jiang Jun. And I think because it's been a while, but then of course there's another 20 minutes left of the footage I've got here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make another video where I'm not talking over it, it's just me and Lolly having a duel. Jiang Jun versus Nabushi. Should be good, because I got a load of footage like that, a load of Breach games to talk about and go over. All the other characters I've got to talk about and show off. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the little video. A lot more to come.